in it.
Street stock?
Yeah.
Is that still where your love is?
Yes.
It's the best racing.
Yes.
Hey everybody, Kenny Hubbard, Razor Edge Productions, here today with Steve Tiedeman. We're going to talk to Steve today, find out a little bit about Steve's racing career. Steve's one of my heroes from watching him race at Adrian, and when I started racing, here Steve come pulling in with the car, come back to racing, and I was shitting peach seeds. It's been a good time racing with Steve. But before we get to Steve, I want to thank you guys, thank everybody for tuning in, watching, supporting us, sharing. I encourage everybody to go like and follow the page, invite your friends, try to grow this thing so we can keep doing this. It takes all of us, and if you're interested in being a sponsor on the show, I encourage you to get with Shanna. She can tell you some of the people we have coming up. You may have people particularly that you want to sponsor, or you may just want to sponsor some episodes. Get with her and give that a shot if you'd like to. And again, go like and follow the page, please, and invite everyone. So, Steve started racing in '94. Was in the Air Force.
Was in the Air Force. Had a buddy of mine, that my sergeant, that he had a factory stock, which is kind of in between the pure stock and the street stock. It was that class, and so he ended up getting brain cancer, removed part of his skull, and the doctor told him, "You cannot get that race car anymore." Well, he wanted to keep racing, and he wanted to keep the car. So I was the only one that actually went and helped every week, and so he put me in the car, and that was all it took. I watched my uncle's race back in the '70s and '80s down at Adrian and Nevada, and it didn't really click with me. Well, hello. Look at that.
Slight technical difficulty. We'll get that fixed up, folks. Bear with us here. Bear with us.
That freaking flag is hung there all day, and now
Minor details. Hopefully you're just listening, not watching.
There you go. But I grew up watching my uncle's racing, and it was cool. You know, it was neat. And then my pappy owned the cars, and they drove, and we go down and watch. And it never really. I thought it was neat, but I never really had the bug until I drove his car, and as soon as we went out for the first hot lap session, I was like, this is what I want to do.
You was hooked.
Yes. And so I raced for him for the rest of '94, and in '95 we raced again, and then unfortunately he passed away end of '95, and so I was out, and I was getting ready to separate from the Air Force. Come home, and my brother-in-law at the time, we got to talking, and I said, I think we want to build a car. And so he went out, and somebody gave him an '81 Camaro, and we gutted that out. We took one of Jerry Mead's old Mustangs that had been wrecked, and we cut the cage out of a Mustang and put it into a Camaro. Didn't know what the hell we was doing, didn't have a clue, and went out, and yeah, we had a good time. Our first year we ended up 6th in points, and I thought that was pretty good. And that was in, we built it in '96 and then '97, and then decided that we wanted to actually compete, and so we turned around and built a Monte Carlo after that, and then just started learning and trying to get everything going, and then just kind of snowballed after that.
Now, for most of your career, you raced at Adrian, right?
Yeah, that's where I cut my teeth at, was Adrian. And then when Lynn County was going, and we would run Adrian Saturday nights, and then at the time Lynn County was running Sunday. And so we'd go out to Lynn County on Sundays if we had anything left from Saturday night. And then Butler got built, so we ran Adrian Saturday night. Friday night we would go to Butler, and then Sunday we go to Lynn County. So we was racing 3 nights a week. And then realized how much money we were actually spending on that. And so the wife at the time kind of put the kibosh on that. She says, pick one track. And so the one that I always did good at was Adrian. So that's where we stayed most of the time.
Right. And that's where, of course, I seen you race the most. Steve also spent some time as a flagman, as a tech man, an announcer. Steve DJs.
Yeah. Kind of done it all. You know, it was funny because we'd race on Saturday at Adrian, and then so I could recoup money to go, so I could go race the next week. We would go flag at Butler, and then once Adrian closed, and we kind of stepped out of it for a little bit, and then ended up going down to Nevada and was a flagman down there, and that was something else to be the flagman at Nevada Speedway, because if I black flagged somebody that they didn't think needed to be black flagged, I'd look down. There was a crowd of people at the bottom of that flag stand waiting on me. I'm like, oh hell, okay, here we go. So it was fun. I enjoyed seeing all the different aspects of the racing that we love.
Right. Well, so let's back up 94, 95. You drive for this guy. How's finishing? Did you pull a feature win in them years?
We finished second, and then was our highest finish, and then we got DQ'd because we got caught with we had power glide with the lockup torque converter. They found it and they DQ'd us, and then we switched over to the 3-speed Saginaw, and then second was our best. We never could get a feature win, but it was funny because a friend of mine that I got to be good friends with down there, he pitted next to us, and they ran 410 sprints down there, and so I'd always give him shit about, I'll show you how to drive that damn sprint car. He's like, well, I'll show you how to drive that freaking that factory stock. I said, all right. So one night he put me in that damn thing for hot laps.
Yeehaw!
Oh Jesus! Well, we get going around, and I'm just, I kind of put to the turns, and I mash the gas a little bit, and I'm like, dang, this thing's fast. I look over, and he's giving me this, get on it. And I'm like, I'm gonna show this son of a bitch. So we went into the corner, and I nailed that son of a gun, and here we go down the front stretch, and I'm leaned way back, and I do that with the wheels, and both front tires do this, and the car did not do a damn thing. I had the front end up off the ground. I'm like, no. So I sat her back down. I putted around one more. I said, no, I gotta have all 4 tires on the ground. And so he got in mine, which was Sergeant Sturdivant's. He got in his, and went around. He's like, God, it takes forever for the corners to come up in your car. I'm like, yeah, it does, compared to a 410 sprint.
30, 40 mile an hour, if not more, slower.
Yes, but that was my one and only chance to drive a sprint car, and I wasn't comfortable because you sit straight up, and then it's not like us where our feet out in front of us. You're sitting straight up, and you got to push straight down on the gas and the brake, and so that I just couldn't get comfortable.
A little bit awkward.
Yeah, but you talk about quick steering. I looked like a blooming idiot, because I was trying to correct everything, and hell, the whole car, I was
going crazy,
doing this down the front stretch, and then I finally kind of got used to it, and then that was enough. Once the front tires come off the ground and laid me back in the back seat into the seat, I'm like, nope.
Right. I'd say you're not the only one. I mean, with the exception of Young Money and a few other guys, Larson, there ain't very many guys that cross over from other race cars into sprint cars. That's kind of that's a real secluded crowd of guys that can do all those things.
Yeah. You've got to have a pair of huevos about yay big and just throw them over your shoulder and strap in and go on.
What's the old saying, when you see God let off?
Yeah, it was. I just couldn't believe how fast, because once I stood on it, and then I was watching the front tires and everything else, not watching what I was supposed to, and then next thing you know, the corner's right there, and I'm like, oh shit! Kind of set her in, and then she went around and made it through the turn, and then that's when I got out there, and I was shaking so damn bad, and nerves had got me, and
That'd be wild. I'd probably be shitting my shorts.
oh, it was something else, because I tried getting out and I couldn't get out, and I finally realized I still had part of the seat cushion in my butt cheeks. I clinched that damn hard. Clinched that hard, and I was like, ooh, doggy. But that was fun.
Quite an experience.
Oh,
Was there any other different classes you got to run through the years that you don't normally?
I ran the late model for Billy Humble one night. His dad kept telling me that he was going to put me in their late model, and so I never thought nothing about it. And he called me. He's like, "Hey, I want you to drive." So we went down a couple practices, and first time out on the track, I looped it, and then in the first practice, and then he's like, "Well, bring it in. We'll do some adjustments," and looked at it, and then realized in the late model, I'm used to our cars where you let off and just ease off into the corner, and then if you have to tap the brake or whatever to help set up, then you do. Well, these, you got to start riding the brake, get up on the bars and stay on the bars through the turns. Well, I was trying to set it all the way down and then get back up in the gas. Well, it just pogoed on me, and then turned around. Once I figured that out, he finally let me loose one night. We won the heat race, and I was sitting on cloud 9. And then, so we put the trick set up in it, and they lapped me within 5 laps.
Oh shit!
I was like, man, this ain't that hard. And then here they come around. I'm like, ooh, this is a little harder than I thought. So, and I'd always wanted to race a late model.
Right.
That's my dream, is to where I want to end up as in a late model. But just, I can't put my family to that. The cost of it is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I ain't. I'm a fat boy. I ain't eating ramen noodles. I need food.
Right.
Right. I think that's a lot of guys' goals. That's my goal. I would love to be in a late model.
Yeah.
I would love to be. And we got this Heartland late model, or no, it's Heartland Modifieds tours coming this year, and the late model revival, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
That we got that coming. That's kind of exciting. That's
cool.
going to be coming through. Hopefully, it draws some big names, some characters, to our little local tracks. Come race with us.
Yeah. The coolest thing is I remember back when I was in high school, going down to Adrian, when Ron Boland showed up, when David Turner, Al Levon, and Dick Mogan showed up there in their late models. Oh my God, you knew there was going to be a hell of a show that night.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Because those guys, they respected one another, but they did not like each other at all.
Yeah.
But man, it was the best damn racing that you'd ever seen. And that's one thing that I thought was cool. And that's how I do my racing, is if I'm in the back, in the back of the pack, I'm still going to put on a show. Because like I saw somebody say at the Dome, if you can't make the show, be the show. And so I've always tried to make it fun, and I don't care if you and I are racing for last place, if we're side by side and just, back and forth trading spots, that's what's fun to me, because we're only going to have one winner.
Right, race me.
But yeah,
race me. Don't run me down. Don't run me over. Just race me.
Right.
We might touch a little, but race the hell.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's the way I've always done it, and I've always used the mentality of I'm not going to tear anybody's equipment up, because every time I've tried to retaliate, I've tore so much shit up on my own car.
On your own car.
Versus,
I see that a lot. Versus the guy they're trying to hit.
Yeah. So, it makes me feel better whenever I outrun them the next week after getting did dirty or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better, but it's kind of I race with a lot of guys that we'll run inches apart, and that's fun to where you can race that hard, not touch, or take each other out. And
right. Or if you do touch, it's not on purpose. You're both trying to get off each other while still trying to race.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So I've used that mentality through my whole career, and it's been fun. I've raced with a lot of guys that I've respected and turned out to be really good friends. And then there's some guys that if I saw them on the side of the road on fire, you know what I wouldn't do on them. You know what I mean? Just drive on by and Peace out.
The hillbilly howdy.
Yeah, but for the most part, that there for a while, the racing kind of got to where it wasn't a family deal anymore. Everybody was out for their own. Nobody would help anybody, and you go to ask somebody for some advice, and they just look at you like you're stupid. What are you asking me that for? Well, I don't want to be out there in the way. But now, you know, where we run out mostly at Butler, is we all help one another, and that's what I love is if I've got something that you need to get you back on the track, because I don't want you to sit on the trailer. I'm gonna go out and outrun your ass.
Right.
And I'd hope you want to do that to me, you know.
Right.
And so we'll help anybody and get that going, and that's been fun and been a neat deal to see the family, the racing family come
together.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned this before in other interviews too, and I'm glad you bring that up because it's something that I really believe in. When I was around racing, watching you at Adrian in a street stock, you know, Steve was the man. And Steve unloaded at Adrian on Saturday night. You better be ready to rock because we're putting on a show. And you know, from the times then that's exactly how I remember it. Don't come asking me. Don't be driving by my house trying to look in my shop door, you know. So, and I love that that's changed.
Yeah.
You know, steel sharpens steel, and if I can make you faster, you make me faster, and I'm still intimidated when we get side by side out there. You've been doing this a long time. I mean, I watched you win a lot of races, and
there was 1 year at Adrian that there was only one other person that won a feature besides me, and that everything clicked that year. We won 13 races that year,
right? And
that was amazing,
right?
And
we're not talking an easy crowd either. No. We're talking probably as good a street stock racing as anywhere in the country.
Yep.
I mean that good of drivers and car owners there. I mean,
yeah, that was good times, and it's weird because Adrian was such a small track to where you didn't have to have a giant motor. You just had to be able to handle. The car had to handle good, and that was cool. You know, that's when you could afford to you know, of course they didn't have freaking $3,000 shock packages like we got now to choose from and all this and that. So it was basically you get an old spring out of a 3/4 ton truck, you cut the damn thing down until you found where the car liked it and where you liked it and all that good stuff, you know. The first time I ran a set of shocks that weren't actually bought at O'Reilly's, I was like, wow, son of a gun, this thing could actually turn and this and that, you know. But then that gets back into that's when we started shooting ourselves in the foot, you know. We kept buying more and more and more, and right now it's high dollar to be competitive every week, you know.
Right.
But
so 96, 97, you come home, you guys build this car, you take it racing. How long did we go before we seen our first checkered flag?
1999 is where I got my first feature win. And the mind, and you can attest to this, the mind, it'll screw with you. Because I was leading the race, and I looked behind me, nobody around me. I got this. And all of a sudden the motor starts knocking. And then all of a sudden I get a vibration. I'm like, oh my God. We go across the checkered flag. The motor knock went away. The vibration went away. It was all in my head. My head was screwing with me. I was like, oh, you idiot. You know, it was just your mind messes with you. And I'm like, there wasn't a damn thing wrong. It's just I'm having a panic attack in the car. I'm leading way out in front of everybody. And then the damn thing does this. So it's amazing. But that was our first feature win. And it's weird because once you get that first win, it's not that you don't question yourself if you can do it anymore. You know you can do it. And then they come easier.
Right.
Because your mind doesn't screw with you. You know that you can win a feature. And then, hell, you would have thought I won the Daytona 500, my first heat race I won. I got out of that car, I was a hooping and a hollering, and everybody's like, what the hell's wrong with him? Well, he won his first heat race. And, oh, okay, I remember that, you know. Hell, it was 2 years before I won a heat race even, so that was that was fun. But
It made things tough. Made it worth it.
yes, yeah, all the hard work and because we didn't know what the hell we was doing.
Right.
We were just guessing at stuff, and we talked to people, and I had one guy that I just looked up to and just thought, he was the greatest racer ever. And so, I kind of go talk to him a little bit and kind of just listen. He'll tell you what to do. He ain't going to come right out and tell you what to do, but if you listen, he'd tell you what to do.
It's in there.
Yeah. And so I'd listen to him, and we start making these changes, and then all of a sudden the car's from a mid-pack car to a top 4 car, and then we got our first feature win, and then after that we just went on. And then after we won all them races that year, I got pretty cocky. I was a badass.
Yeah.
And then so I dropped into the A-mods. I was like, I'm gonna set this world on fire.
Now I remember this, but what year is this?
That was I'm pretty sure it was 2000. 2000 or 2001.
I was thinking 1 or 2-ish, but I wasn't sure. I thought it might have been a little bit earlier.
It probably 2001. So we buy us an old dirt works, and we're gonna go A-mod racing. And I built me a 377 and everything else, and I went out and I'm like, oh my God, did they ever show me that I had a lot to learn. It was fun, but geez Louise, it was way out of my ballpark. But I showed up to the track that day, and I was, hell, the last year I won all them races, and I was gonna do the same thing in a modified.
Right.
It didn't take me long to get my ass knocked right back down and humble me.
That's and back then you got one class of modifieds, not like we got now.
Yeah.
And modified class at Adrian to be jumping in at 2000, 2001. That's some serious modified competition going back a lot of years.
You had Eddie Bray, you had Jerry Tarwater Jr., you had Dennis Bunker, you had Tim Setzer,
Danny
Scroggum, and a bunch of them. And I was running second one night, and then we were under caution, and I looked behind me and saw all the guys that I idolized behind me. And that was the closest I ever got to winning in an A-mod, as I finished second that night. And chased old Jerry Tarwater. We come out of 4, and he pushed, and I got a good run, and God, he beat me by a bumper. But that was fun. That was as close as a feature win I ever got in an A-mod. So, but it woke me up. It humbled me real damn quick. That I had a lot to learn, and so we did, and we come close, but we never got that first across the checkered line, checkered flag. So
how long did you try the modified for?
We ran it for 5 years, and then we changed cars a couple times, updated the chassis, because the first one we had was a 1995 DW7. Was our first A-mod, and I look back at that, I'm like, wow. And then that's just when the hook set up, whenever everybody was starting to carry the left front off the ground, was starting to get popular. So my brother-in-law Butch, he come up with a bracket back there on the left rear. We ran a bar this long on that left rear. That freaking rear end would walk underneath that car, and then the front end would come up. Well, we decided to go down to Lucas Oil Speedway it was actually just Wheatland before Lucas Oil bought it. And we had that set up in it. And we're going down the front stretch, and all I can see is tire and hood. I can't see nothing in front of me. But God, that's going to make a good picture. And I go by, and I look at the flagman, and he's just going crazy with that yellow flag. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I let out the gas, and the front end sets down, and there's 3 cars crossed up right in front of me. And somehow I was able to get around them. But I was like, so I come back in, I'm like, we might want to tone this down just a little bit.
Maybe take a couple feet out of the wheelie.
all I can see is sky. So, but it was fun. We won the B feature there that night, and then ended up starting towards the back of the feature, and I think we ended up 10th out of 28 cars that was there that night. So or 24 in the feature, and we worked our way up to 10. So that was pretty cool. That was fun, you know. So
Racing somewhere different. And
yeah, I always enjoy, you know, whenever we get a chance to go out. You know, kind of like Butler now is home. That's home to me. And but I enjoy getting out. We went down to Springfield last year. We went out to Lucas Oil on that Thursday night thunder that they had. And then where else did we go, babe, last year? Did we go anywhere else besides Springfield and Wheatland, Lucas Oil?
Springfield, Wheatland, and Butler.
Yeah, that was it. But and I enjoy it. You know, it's kind of neat to step out to see all the other competition because you get used to your group that you run with week in and week out.
right.
But you go down there and God, that Springfield track that's something else, ain't it?
It's a lot of fun. I haven't had very good luck
I
when
haven't.
I've been down there.
I haven't either. I went to Dairy Queen when we got down there too because my motor was hot. We finished second in the B. The motor was running hot. Going there and he's like, because we had to run 14 pounds of vacuum. Well, it's at 14 pounds and then the motor stumbled. And then of course when the motor stumbles, it drops the vacuum. Oh no, you're DQ'd. Okay. So we drove 2 hours to go to Dairy Queen down there
Yeah.
because you know and they had to recheck me whenever I come back to Butler. Because you're at Power Ride track, you were DQ'd, so you got recertified. So they checked it, and I was at 14 and a half pounds of vacuum, and I'm like, oh, the motor was out, and I tried to explain it to him. And of course my tack didn't work, and he's like, you had 1,000 RPMs? I don't know. I think. I can't tell you. Because my tack quit working, and so he's like, well, you're DQ'd. Yeah, so I got to watch everybody else race.
I enjoyed your fries and shake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was like 2 hours to go to DQ, and then I freaking told the wife, you know, yeah, we're gonna go down there, and it's a quarter mile. That's where I cut my teeth on. Was a quarter mile track. That is a monster quarter mile because you don't let out of the gas.
I know Adrian was a quarter mile high bank, but when I stand on Springfield Raceway or have my car on there, it doesn't bring Adrian to me at all.
No.
It is
No.
way different a place.
No, your car's never straight. You're constantly crossed up and you're constantly turning into the slide, you know. And so that was, of course, my dumbass. I dived right into the corner. Do what I do. I'm a bottom feeder. They call, you know, surprised they don't call me catfish as much as I run the bottom. And I dive to the bottom and get on the brakes. And I'm like, yeah. And I get on the gas and get going. I'm like, hell yeah. And this is out hot laps. And all of a sudden, vroom, freight train right by me. I was like, okay. So then I freaking, you know, fall in line, follow them, figured out how to get around. And we totally missed the setup, I guess, completely wrong for the heat race. And then we had to run the B and worked our way up through the B to finish second and then went to Dairy Queen. So, yay. Good times.
Made for a good story.
It did.
Steve.
So all the while you're running the...
Yeah. There you go.
Uh-oh.
It was
We're
touching the
having-
fabric a little bit.
I'm
I'm afraid
sorry.
people can't hear you.
Okay. My little thingy went limp on us. I'm sorry.
So all the while you're running the modified, you're running the street stock too.
Yeah. I'm gonna sit here and hold my little thingy. Pretend like I'm 15 years old again. Yeah, we had the modified and the street stock there for a while, and then we ended up selling the street stock. And I told the guy that if you ever go sell the car, I want it back. I want to buy it back. And then we raced the A-mods for a little while longer, and then he called me one day. He's like, I think I'm done with the car. Okay, I'll take it back, and got right back in it. And the first night we got it back, we went down to Butler and won that night in the street stocks. And then we were working up to we won the 1,000 to win street stock race there at Adrian that year.
That's got to be exciting to get a car back and then get back in it and go out the first night and park it. That's got to be.
He told me he was madder than hell whenever he bought it because he he's like, you changed something on this. I said, no. I said, I sold it to you exactly how it left the track. And so he went out and raced it. He just couldn't do anything with it. And then, so I pick it up and he comes down the track with me. I go out and win with it. And he's like, what'd you change? I said, nothing. I said, this is exactly how it was whenever I sold it to you. I guess I just don't know how to drive. I said, well, it is an acquired taste.
Everybody drives a little different, and every car's different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It, you know, and that's the hardest part is to find out what the car wants and what you want, you know, what, to get them to meet in the middle. And
Right.
then once you get them to where the car's comfortable and you're comfortable, you're unbeatable.
And I don't know a lot, but I think that guys change cars too much sometimes when it's something that they're doing
Yeah.
that is the culprit.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of guys that chase the newest and greatest thing, you know, and we did that one year. I had no pure stock that was just unbeatable, and for whatever reason, I wanted to build a new car. And then we went out and said, God, I wish I had my old car back. But we just couldn't, something that with that frame was just, it wasn't right, and we just could not get it to handle right. So we sold it and then went back, and I've bought quite a few of my cars back over the years, you know, that I loved and was comfortable in, and it was good to get him back, and it kind of felt good because the guy, you know, there was a couple of guys that went out and won some races in one of my old cars, and then I got a chance to buy it back and won some more races in it, you know. So it's kind of like an old pair of sneakers or an old pair of shoes, you know.
Right.
When they're comfortable, you know.
Yeah.
They may stink a little bit, but they fit just right.
Never mind my pinky toe there.
Don't worry about the duct tape at the.
Yeah, that's minor. That's minor. So you raced up to 2012.
2012, I think it is, when we got out. We went through a divorce, and then so I had to get my mind right. I had to get the financials right, you know, and then taking care of the kids and make sure that they were all taken care of. So we stepped away for a little while, and I missed it so much, you know, because I tell people I think it would be easier to quit drugs than it would to get the racing out of your blood. And there's coming a day to where it's just not going to be. I'm going to get too old, or I can't be competitive, you know, because as we age, we lose a little bit, you know, whether it's reaction time or agility, or you know, our mind's not as fresh as it used to be. So I'm dreading that day to where I can't. And
Like as big as pillar, I'll say, in the racing community as you've been around here, I can't see you not being around racing though.
oh, I'll be around. You know, I may be working at the damn track. You know, I may get back up in the flag stand. And we honestly talked about taking this year off. We were thinking about it, but we was like, no, one of my inspirations was my Uncle Kenny, and he passed away this year. And so we're doing an Air Force thing, because he was in the Air Force as well, and he retired out of the Air Force. And I always looked up to him, and that's why I went in the Air Force, because two of my uncles, my Uncle Sonny and my Uncle Kenny, who are both passed, and were in the Air Force, and so I wanted to be like them. And so I ended up, here, hold, folks, we're going to take a pause here while Kenny gets his phone.
What phone?
Please stand by. But we're doing an Air Force theme this year, and my thingy's working again. We're doing the Air Force theme, and it's going to be a tribute to all of our veterans, which I've always ran a patriotic scheme. You know, once I
Right.
got back to racing.
And I love that. And I didn't mention earlier, Steve is, well, I don't know if I did, I guess I don't. Steve is an Air Force veteran.
Yeah.
And very active in being a veteran. And
Yeah, we do a lot of things for the veterans around here, and the American Legion and VFW. I'm on the honor guard where we do the honor funerals for when at the gravesite, where we do the veteran honors for they're at the funerals and stuff like that, and it doesn't bother me doing that until it's somebody I know, and then that's pretty rough. We lost one of our members, and we had to do honors at his funeral, and so that was pretty rough because there wasn't a dry eye with any of the honor guard, you know. So being a veteran, that's a tight knit community. Whether you were Army, Air Force, Marine, Navy, Coast Guard, whatever it was, we will give each other so much crap, but we always got each other's back.
That's right.
And so, that's one thing that's important to me is taking care of veterans and fighting for veteran rights, because we stepped up and we signed up to give, you know, basically wrote a blank check to the United States equal to our life if need be, and I got some stories from whenever I was in Air Force combat. I traveled the world and it was fun. We was out. They came. I'll tell you one quick story. We was stationed out in Little Rock, and we were a mobile unit, and so wherever they needed us, we'd load up and we'd go. So they flew in a C-141, and we had to get on this plane. And we flew 13 hours. We kept going, where are we going? Don't worry about it. Where are we going? Don't worry about it. Well, we get out into the middle of this land. They take us out in the middle of this desert, picking up a Humvee. Got radioactive markings all over it. I'm like, oh, this is great. Well, here come Ali Akbar up over the hill, and we're like, not a one of us got a damn gun on us. And so they say, grab anything that looks like a weapon. So I go back in the plane, I find this freaking pipe wrench this big. So I'm holding it like a goddamn gun, and they surrender to us, and I'm like, what do we do with them now? We got them. And so we called the MPs, and they come and got them, and all that, but that was fun.
With the damn pipe wrench.
With the pipe wrench, I arrested the son of a bitch with the pipe wrench.
You didn't have to use it, thank God.
No kidding. I was like, how do I cut this son of a bitch? But it was.
Oh boy.
I loved it. I loved it.
I'd heard a few around the track, but I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah. There's some other stories I may tell you one day, but we can't do it on here.
On here. You'll have to come to Butler, folks. We'll have a beer after the races.
Yeah.
Or two.
Yeah.
So you took a hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, life happens. A lot of us have had to do that, and so you come back into racing. And now there's 3 modified classes, and you know there's a lot of different sanctioning, and so when you decided to get back into racing, how was it you thought you were going to come back?
Well, the wife and I went down to Bolivar and picked up a Pure Stock, and that was our entrance back into it, because Jerry Brown had done a bunch of work and got Butler opened back up. So I thought, well, that's close enough. Well, actually, before that, I got in one of them waffles, and I won a GRT modified, A-mod. So we went over and ran Warrensburg for about a year, and realized that you got to have some money to run A-mod over there at Warrensburg, because hell, we just basically ran an old flat tap, a flat top freaking street stock motor. They don't.
Ain't enough.
No, them boys. And so we ended up getting taken out down there one night, and the car got wadded up pretty bad. The front end was bent this way, the rear end was bent that way. And so then I don't know how I convinced her, but I convinced her it was going to be a good idea for us to go get a Pure Stock, and that's when I knew Jerry was doing some work on the track and getting it going. And so we went down and did that, put a new body on it, and got everything going, and thought we was going to be happy there. But then I just saw when the Midwest mod first come about, I thought that was perfect, because I loved being in the modified. There was, not that we were better than anybody, but there was something about being in the modified, And so we decided to go the Midwest mod, and we'd bought one car and got it home. And started redoing stuff one night and realized that it was damaged bad. That they'd hit a lot of the damage in it. So we took it to the frame shop, did some work with it. We could never get it right, so we ended up just cutting it out because I ain't gonna sell something that's junk to somebody else and pass it on down the line.
Pass on the screwing.
Yeah. So, and then we ended up with an old DW9 modified, and we ended up winning a feature down there at Butler, and then that was fun. We was running good, and all of a sudden this jackass Kenny Hubbard gets into racing, and then now I can't win a goddamn feature to save my life. And so, but
Somebody gave me the idea.
who was that? But no, it's been it was interesting coming back in, and we was gonna go B mod, and then we realized that B mod's pretty. You gotta have pretty. They're stout.
Yeah.
You know, we're our motors. We can run the crate motors, or we can run the the local builders motors and everything else, and they got us ruled down pretty much to where it's hard. You can cheat them, but it costs a lot of money to cheat them, and to where it's really not cost effective. But
And even if they don't catch you in the tech shed, we all hear you.
oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, it was funny because we had to go through tech one night, pre-tech, do our safety checks, you know, and this old Bobby, he's like, yeah, all Midwest mod through tech before hot laps. So I'm in there and I'm like, what the hell's a B mod doing in here? Because that son of a bitch sounded good, and I'm like, and then he's the one that won that light, and I was like, huh, okay. So I was like, well, and he was just one that would bounce around every once in a while, and not a weekly runner with us. So I was like, well, we always got next week, but God dang, I was like, I wish my car sounded that good. And he was quick, but it is what it is, you know. So if I had the money, I'd probably be cheated up like that too, you know, if I knew I could get away with it. But
I don't like it. I want to know I've done it honest.
yeah.
That's just a big part of who I am. When I want to be able to look behind me, I've done enough of stuff in my life where I've had to look over my shoulder.
Right.
And as I've gotten older here and kind of come through some stuff, I want mine as legal as can be.
Yeah.
And I want you to cheat as absolutely much as you can, and I want to get that ass.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just always my thought on it.
It feels so much better when you outrun them, and you know in your heart of hearts that SOB is illegal as the day is long.
Right.
And then you outrun them, it's like, and you know your stuff's right. You know?
Right. When you pour every penny to it, and you still only legal.
Yeah. That's one thing that's fun, and another thing that's fun is I've had the privilege of. I get to race with my brother, Dell. That is so much fun because you and I will run door to door. I'll run you as hard as you run me, and I know if we touch, we touch. We're not going to intentionally take each other out.
Right.
But me and my brother, we're competitive, very competitive, and we've been that way our whole life. But getting to run next to him, and I always, because he was so much better at a lot of things growing up than I was, it was kind of cool to finish ahead of him. But then again, when he does outrun me, God, I'm cheering him on. And one night where I got to watch him, I was following him around, and I just could not get around him. And he goes on to win the feature, his first feature win. And I swear to God, I was happier than he was. I was screaming in that car. I'm shaking my hands and everything else, and just having a good old time. And that's one thing he says. God damn, I didn't know who was happier, you or me. I was like, well, you worked hard for it. You deserved it. And so, but he did get me one night because we was down at Adrian one night, and I looked behind me. Not a soul in sight. I was going into turn 3, and then what I thought was second place was coming out of turn 2. So we're taking the white flag. So I kind of ease it up a little bit, you know, thinking I got this.
Don't spin out on the last lap.
I already got my damn speech ready for whenever I get out of the car. We go back after we take the white flag lap. We go through 3 and 4. I didn't realize my goddamn brother was set up on the high side. I never saw him. So I come out, get through the turn, you know, and I'm like, here we go. And all of a sudden this orange flash goes, boom! He is set up and dived in the corner off perfectly and got a run. And just by the time I got, you know, back in the gas full, he done got it. And I was like, that was so cool. It was so much fun. But he got me. He set me up perfect. And you know, I love racing with my brother because we've always been close. And I was not the best brother. I was a mouthy little shit. I know, hard to believe, right?
We had a great interview with Dell. You know that some of these things might have been mentioned.
How I survived my younger years with him, I don't know, because as a little brother, it's your job to give your big brother crap, and I put him through some hell, and now to get to race with him and everything else, I love it. It's so much fun to look over when we're lined up side by side, getting ready to drop the green. And
how rough do you guys race?
We've never touched.
Because I can't see racing my brother and not coming in there and putting tires and bumpers on him, and I can't see not doing it.
I know that I have accidentally may have punted him a time or two, you know, going to the corner, and then I've felt when he's behind me, you know, you thinking you got a good run, all of a sudden
you get a little help.
Get a little help, like, okay. All right. And then look back, you know, kind of look over your shoulder and like, oh shit, there's my brother. You better pick it up, you know. But it's fun. I love it. You know, that's one thing that is so awesome is that we get to share that, you know. And I'd started racing there at it took, I think it was 98 maybe, 98 or 99 when he built his first car, and then we helped each other, and we help each other now. We share parts back and forth, you know, and this and that, and bounce ideas off of everybody. And there was one night down there in the Midwest Mod last year that his car, the track conditions and his car came together, and he blew him away in the heat race. And then he was leading. He was running up front in the feature, and I'm way back there just watching and cheering. And then I think he ended up having a slider brake or something. And then so the spring kind of popped out and got him to the right rear tire and cut the tire down. But I was cheering him on, and that was one thing that I just love. It's cool to be able to be out there and race with your brother, and if that's something that you get to enjoy, you know, it's neat. It's fun. I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else, you know.
Right.
So it's pretty neat.
Hopefully one of these days I'll get one of my brothers out there. Might be a little different though. I might put him in the wall.
Right.
We might ought to stick to enduro cars. Well, so something that else that I do want to bring up is that you are with the American Legion.
Yes.
And Steve puts on the racers auction that we have at Butler.
Yep. At the Bates County Fairgrounds.
And so I'll let you tell them about it.
That's coming up next weekend, January 27th. We still got a little bit of room for parts, so send me a message and we'll get you some lot numbers reserved.
600 lots already? Is
yes.
that what I seen?
600 lots already, yeah. And we got room for 800, but man, that makes for a long day. And so I try to put it down around. I'd like to keep it at 700 lots. Is what I like. We've got some really nice rolling stock coming in. We've got a car that could be either a factory stock or super stock, just depending on, you know, the changes you make on it. We got a couple of modified rollers that's going to be in there, and we're supposed to have a late model roller coming in, but he may have got it sold already, so I'm not sure.
So 3 or 4 cars are going to be there.
Mm-hmm. And we've got you know, everything that rolls through there is either new or used. You know, and I try to watch out for junk. And if there's something that's kind of iffy, I'll put it towards the end of the day, you know, unless it's a high ticket item, you know, then. But if it's kind of iffy, you know, man, that looks pretty well wore out. Then by the end of the day, most everybody's gone, and so the guys that are buying the stuff are buying it for scrap.
Right.
And so a lot of times
they can have at it.
some of the stuff, that's about all it's worth, you know.
Well, thank you for being a buffer to that, because this isn't something that this racing stuff's hard.
Yeah.
And a guy getting in it can spend money on the wrong stuff.
Oh yeah.
And there are, you know, just like everywhere, there, you know, there's bad people in everything. You know, some gas stations you walk in, you get a bad clerk, some you don't.
Yeah.
So it's good that you keep an eye for that, because you don't want to spend money,
Right.
you know, buying something junk.
Yeah. Yeah. We went down back when Bodie had his auctions down in Sedalia. We didn't have no money one year, and we needed a motor, and I had $350 to my name to take to that auction. So I bought one of them famous auction motors. Well, I got it home, and one cylinder's 60 over, one cylinder's 20 over, one cylinder's 30 over. Not one cylinder had the same bore on it. So we thought, well, we'll try it. We fired that damn thing up, and it shook and vibrated, and I'm like, oh my Lord.
It's a one-way ticket.
I got a $350 motor for $350 is what I got. So I try and watch out for that. You know, I've been burned on that, and then again, I bought an auction motor before that a guy that used to put into the auctions, you know, every year, and it was the same thing, to where the back two cylinders were 60 over and the rest of them were 40 over. And I went, well, we'll try it. That was the motor that we won the 1,000 to win street stock show in down at Adrian, you know.
Right.
So it turned out to be a good motor, and we've got a guy that's bringing I know we've got a nice little 355 coming in that he's coming down from Iowa, and we got guys from Iowa, we got guys from Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, of course Missouri, and then we got them coming all around to come to the auction, either to sell stuff or to buy stuff, because we've tried to put a good name to the auction, you know, and my goal is to eventually build it up into a big 2-day sale with the vendors and everything like
Kind of a swap meet kind of deal.
yeah. And so we're working on that, but right now we got another guy that does a ton of auctions throughout the year that he just kind of flooded the market, so there's not as much stuff out there to sell as there used to be. So, but the auction's coming up January 27th, next Saturday. The doors open up at 8. Auction kicks off at 9. We did hire new auctioneers this year because we got some complaints over the guys the last 2 years, so we replaced them. And if you come up to me and there's a problem, I'll take care of it. We had one gal that they were confused on they had some ratchet straps, and I didn't catch it, but one guy had kind of he signed them in real cheesy like, because it was a ratchet strap, and then there was the axle strap, you know, to go with it. Well, he was putting it as, instead of being one set, you bought the ratchet strap and then 2 times your money for the ratchet strap and the axles. And so I took care of that. I was like, no, we ain't doing that. That's ripping people off. And so I gave the gal her money back, you know, or basically split the cost with her. I said, here, this is what you paid for it. You bought 4 of them, so I'm gonna cut it in half, and we'll try to be honest, you know, and keep it at that. And so told that guy, do not ever check that stuff in like that again, because you just made me look like you made me look like a fool, and 2, it cost me money.
Right.
And all the money, you know, after we pay our all of our expenses and everything else, and the money goes to the Legion, and we've got a lot of repairs we got to do to the Legion this year. And good old termites got into the wood floors there in our building, and so we've got a big chunk of change that we've got to come up with to get all that stuff fixed. So, and events like this is what helps. And then we do a lot of stuff with the state of Missouri and fighting for veterans' rights, and it's not cheap to hire lawyers. And so, you know, that's where a lot of our money goes, is in paying lawyers to help fight for our veterans' rights and all that good stuff. So,
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for fighting for them guys,
Yeah.
putting them guys in a better position.
Yeah,
They deserve it.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in one red cent shouldn't leave this country until every one of them's housed, fed,
Yeah.
fat, and happy.
that is my biggest. Oh, that makes me so damn mad that we got all these illegal immigrants coming in right now, and they're getting free money and free housing, and then we got our own citizens that are sleeping on the streets. Not only just veterans, but
Kind of heartbreaking.
yeah. So, if you want to make money, go ahead and go down to Mexico, give up your citizenship, come across illegally, they'll take care of you for life. Apparently, that's how that works.
Oh boy. So something that I really want to ask is, so A-mods.
Mm-hmm.
When you got out of an A-mod
Mm-hmm.
and you get into this Midwest mod, how do they compare? The A-mod you got to drive then and keep in mind we're years apart, folks.
Yeah.
We're talking about 2008 versus 2021, probably before you got rolling real good again.
Yeah. Of course, the A-mods were 4-bar cars.
Right.
You had the bird cages, and the rear end would actually pivot and would actually index more, and so where we're at now, it's easier because we can only adjust our lower bars. That's all we got to adjust is
Right.
our J bar and then our left and right lower control arm. But with the damn A-mods, you got all kinds of adjustments. You can dial yourself out real quick. And I did that many a nights,
Yeah.
thinking that, okay, the track's going to do this, and that's how we set it up. Well, if the track actually did that, then yes, we've been all right. But the track did totally different than what I thought it was going to do. So,
It won't do what it did last Saturday, this Saturday.
nope.
For whatever reason. Any night.
Yeah. And so honestly now, with our cars, it's the only bar that I adjust is the left lower control arm. I don't move the right. And every once in a while, if the track's getting rough, then I'll lower the J bar a little bit and kind of that way. Whenever you hit the ruts or the holes, if you're already tight, then man, it's gonna make it 10 times worse. But
Right.
it's a lot easier adjustment in what we're in now, and so.
What about the driving aspect? Do you feel like the driving is the competition's as tough as?
Yeah, because we've got between you, number 5,
Denison.
Dustin, and Norman Mackley's boy.
Coulter Mitchell.
Yeah, Coulter Mitchell. There's
And the 8R.
yeah, there's a lot of stiff top competition, and so it doesn't really matter what class they're in. Them guys are tough, and if you can run with them, that's something to say. Not let alone outrun them. It's one thing that it's how I judge how we did that night. If we kept up with them, or what. So it's and even when we was in A-mods, of course, you still had your heavy hitters. You still got heavy hitters now. They're just somebody else with a different name. They may be a little younger, a little older, or whatever, so. But our cars are a lot easier to drive now.
Than what those were then.
Yes. Yeah, because like I said, you could dial yourself right out. And then, the first time I went out there, and the coolest feeling I've ever felt in my life, I got in the gas and I felt the car lift. I'm like, this is freaking cool. Didn't go nowhere, but god dang, this was cool. But and we still get a little bit of lift in the cars now, but nothing like what we could, because
Yeah.
you see some of the if you pay attention to the A-mods and you watch that lift rear tire, it's up behind the door,
Yep.
behind the driver's door, where it's actually right up underneath the car,
Yeah.
indexing, to where ours we're just limited. There's not enough travel to do that, and so it's fun, expensive, but I like where we're at now. You know, I think it's a good class. I think it's an affordable class. It was more affordable when it first come out because basically it was a pure stock motor and a modified. You know, you had to run the springs on top of the rear end. You had to run the 3-speed Saginaw or a Power Glide or whatever, you know. And it was actually affordable. Now it's starting to get carried away again, like every class does throughout time. Because when B mods come out, they were the stuff. They were cool.
I do really hope that I do see that with the Midwest mods, and I do hope that we are at a plateau, so to speak, with the rules, and this is what we're going to do now. And let's not, you know, here we are. This is a good program. If we keep changing things, then it's going to keep going the other way.
Right.
And I don't think that's good for it. I really don't.
Yeah. And supposedly our rules are locked in for 3 years now. So, and I did get to build my little spoiler, my little 2-inch spoiler.
Yeah, we got a spoiler.
Oh God, that thing looks so stupid. I've got the big full sides, and then it's like it's cold outside, my spoilers. I'm like, but it's like, whatever. But I've been complaining I want a spoiler, and I got one. But
Now you got one.
Yeah, now I got
and
one.
I'm being told that we're fast enough at Butler that the spoilers are going to affect our cars.
You know, I'd said something. I'm like, that ain't gonna do anything. You know, a little 2-inch spoiler ain't gonna do nothing. And I'm like, and so I was having some beers with a buddy of mine. And he's like, drive down the road at 50 mile an hour, and then stick your hand out, and then just turn it a little bit and watch it force your arm down. And I was like, yeah, okay. He's like, you're running 60, 70 miles an hour at Butler. You know, sometimes I've seen some of the guys on where they put the in-car camera and stuff, and they'll show the GPS tracking. That goddamn flag. Oh well, we'll just leave it. That's how my freaking luck works, you know. We do something good.
Oh my goodness.
Sad part is that's what holds my race car together is that tape.
That's that 200 mile an hour NASCAR
Yeah.
tape.
But the, you know, I've seen them run, you know, 80 to 82 miles an hour down the backstretch there at Butler. So it may do some stuff, you know. It may help us out, or it may complicate us too, because now we've got another tuning deal that we can use. So
That's what I've got on the GoPro is 83 mile an hour on time and time again.
yeah,
It's logged it. So
yeah. What's the fastest you ever been in a race car?
well, it's at Butler 83 mile an hour in my race car.
We were down at when it was Wheatland before Lucas Oil. We had a county sheriff down at the end of the track shooting radar, 112 in the A mod, going into the corner, and so of course that's what he said. You know, he clocked him at, and we were all running together, and I was like, that was cool. And then we decided to go to Lakeside. That was stupid.
Was that scary?
That was fun. That big half-mile track is fun, except for whenever you lose the engine on the backstretch, and then you're still puffing smoke all the way pulling into the infield on the front stretch. Every time I've been up there twice, and I've left my motor parts on the back straightaway, so I can't do it. But small block Chevy sounds pretty cool at 9,000 RPM. my motor bill's like, you are running a stock crank, stock rods, and you think you can turn $9,000? Yep.
We're gonna try.
I did. I made it through the hot laps. I didn't make it through the heat race, but yeah, that track is fun. If you ever get a chance to go up there, do it. Make sure you know how we've got our red limiters on there. Drop it down to $6,000. You know, don't do the 6100 where we can run now. Drop it down to $6,000. But I was in the A mod, and we didn't have limit on our RPMs. And so I put a 514 in there thinking that was going to be good. By the time I let off to go into the corner, we were turning $9,000.
Woo!
Yeah.
It didn't last long.
Didn't last long on stock rod, stock crank, and cast pistons. I don't know why. But It was.
Something melted, I suspect.
Yeah, we dropped the valve, and then it broke the the valve keeper's got the little knurls in them that lock the valve in. Well, it stripped one of those out and it dropped the valve, and of course then it freaking, as soon as that valve goes down at 9,000 RPMs, I pulled the intake off. I had pieces of piston in the intake, and then on the other side of the engine where nothing had blown up, but.
So come to find out, the bottom end held up.
Yeah, it's a top end.
Huh.
So, but it was kind of funny because it busted the complete cylinder out whenever they dropped that valve in there, and so you can see in the water jacket and everything else. You know, I'm like, so that's how that works, huh? Kind of a hard way to research. You know,
Yeah.
oh, how everything works.
I
But
don't think I want to cross-cut my motor.
no, I would not recommend it. We've done some fun stuff. You
Yeah.
know, and-
So, what do you think of all the wins, different places and stuff, what do you think's your favorite win?
My favorite win is the 1,000 Win Street Stock show at Adrian. And the reason that is there's two reasons. One, Friday night, Brandon and Haley, my kids, come up to me. This is before my son Dakota was born. Dad, when you win tomorrow night, we want new bicycles. I said, you know what? If I win tomorrow night, I will buy you both bicycles. Well, we won the heat, won the feature, and then I'm down there celebrating in victory lane, you know, and here come my kids. We get new bicycles. I'm like, you know what? You too, because that was I think that was 2000, and man, $1,000, that was a lot of money,
Yeah.
you know, especially for racing. And so next Sunday morning we was at Walmart and I was buying them the most expensive bicycle I could find.
That's awesome.
And then another reason why it was my favorite race is, have you ever heard of Jerry Mead?
Yeah.
10M, and we'd raced years and years together, and I always respected him. I always looked up to him. Well, we ran, he ran me down, and I got out ahead of everybody, but he ran me down, and we ran door to door for the last 10 races, 10 laps, and never touched me. If it was anybody else, they would have put a bumper on me, got me loose, turned me around, anything. That's a lot of money, $1,000.
Right.
And we raced, he ended up finishing second, but I always respected him and I always liked him. But after that, I really respected him and really looked up to him more because he did race me so clean. And it was fun. It was fun.
That sounds like a blast.
And it was a 40 lap feature. And so normally we run 20 laps. So by the time we get done with 20, I'm like,
Is it over
"Damn,
yet?
I'm freaking tired." And then so I go by and I look up, and old Jerry Brown's dad, Bob Brown, was the flagman. And then finally he showed me 5 to go. I'm like, okay, we got this. And Jerry's right underneath me. And usually the high side usually did not work at Adrian. But Jerry got underneath me a couple of times, and we ran door to door. You know, a couple of laps, we were side by side. And when we come across the line, we were even. And finally, I look up, and Bob gives me two to go. I'm like, son of a bitch. And in my head, I know I'm gonna screw this up. I'm gonna lose $1,000 because it was a pretty big jump from $1,000 to $300, and then you know the pay jumped down quite a bit after that. And so, for whatever reason, we come out and we took the white flag, and we were coming up on lap traffic. And I'm like, and every time we would hit lap traffic, the caution would come out. And so I'm like, okay, I didn't have to worry about where Jerry was and worry about where I'm going to put my car. And so we're coming up on lap traffic, and I'm like, oh, jeez Louise. And I'd screwed up, and I put it in way too high, and Jerry got around me, and then so I pulled my brother's move. I diamonded that damn corner off, and I shot straight down right next to the guardrail down the front stretch, and I passed him back, and then come back around, and he was right on my ass, and I ended up winning it. And so that's my favorite, and that I've been in. Now my favorite race that I've seen was last year, when my daughter won the powder puff. But it pisses me off because she put it in winter circle before I did. I'm like, you cannot win in my car. But she was going through some rough times, and she needed that, you know. And it scared me because I saw her getting confident, and the car kept getting faster and faster, and I'm like, oh gosh. Because
about to lose my Friday night ride.
She has no fear. She has no fear. And so I was watching from the backstretch because I walked her around and got her out on the track and everything. And then they ended up having a caution. And then so I went down to the infield, and I'm pacing around through the infield, and I'm looking. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how many freaking laps are these guys going? They gave them 10 laps. And so I'm like, and so they get the caution underway, get back under green, and she's out leading the damn thing. And I'm like, all right. And she keeps getting more confident. I'm like, damn, this car sounds good, you know. And then I'm like, shit, that's my daughter driving. Come on, slow down. And she come across. It was so funny because she come out of 4, and I'm standing right there by the billboards at Victory Lane, kind of watching, and I hear her as she comes out of 4. Yeah! Just screaming all the way to the checkered. And then I was like, oh my God, my daughter just won in my car. She won before I did. Huh. And she said that in Victory Lane. She looked at me while they were interviewing. She goes, hey Dad, I got in Victory Lane before you did. Yes, you did. Now, if I would have been the one racing them gals, I might have been able to win a feature, but you know. It'd be my luck I'd spin myself out 2 times, and I'd have to get off the goddamn track.
Off the track. Been disqualified.
But that was cool. I was heartbroken because I really wanted Chrissy, my wife, to drive it. Well, she's 5 foot nothing. I'm 6'2".
She can't reach the pedals.
No. So we're trying to put pillows, anything. Well, she's all the way, and I like my steering wheel. I like my steering wheel close to me. Well, she's all the way up there, and the steering wheel's she got honkers, and so the steering wheel's rubbing her boobs, and she still can't reach the pedals. And I'm like, oh, I wanted her to race so bad. So that's one thing this year we're gonna have to figure out how to get her in the car. You know, so my daughter won it this year, so. I'm gonna have to figure out how to put
Some pedal extensions or something.
I thought about that, you know, and then I thought, God, that would be my luck. One of them fold down or something.
Fall
like
off, or
yeah,
and of course it'd be the brake.
Yeah, we let my son drive it one night, Brandon, and
Boy, was he excited!
oh, he was excited, but the car never really pushed on me, but he'd go in the corner and it would just push, just straight up the track. Finally realized he was going in the corner, pushing in the clutch, thinking he was hitting the brake pedal to slow down.
Oh,
so of course, as soon as you hit the clutch, you know, everything that was slowing you down with the gears, up the track you go. But he finally got it figured out, and I was hoping. I wanted him to fall in love with it and get the bug, because there's nothing more that I'd rather do than wrench, you know, because my dad wrenched for me for years, me and my brother, and I loved it, you know. It a lot of things that I look back on, and my dad being there was cool, you know, and seeing pictures of whenever Mom was, or Greg Choate was videoing him when we won the 1,000 to win, and then seeing my dad out there waiting for me to get up. I was in the car bawling. I was like, oh, I can't believe I did this, you know. I had to get my composure and everything else, you know. And they're like, and one guy was like, couldn't get your seatbelts off? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I couldn't get my seatbelts on. I was so excited. I didn't want to tell her that, no, I'm in there crying like a little baby because I just won, you know, because that 1,000 to win show, that was the race of the race. You know, if you won that, you was somebody. And we finally got to win that, and I was like, it hit me. You know, I looked over and there's my dad, and I was like, oh God. You know? he was all excited and all that stuff. So,
It's pretty special.
oh yeah.
Pretty special. I had to jump in the pond. Because I didn't want everybody to see me crying. I had to work so hard, man. And that night it come to me, how well, Outrun Jeff and you and Tony Reynolds, guys I'd been watching race.
Yep.
So to get it done, I had to go in the pond and hide them tears.
Yeah. That was cool. That was cool to see that night, And that's what I love about this sport is, even though we're competitors, I was happy for you. It was cool because you know what it's like. You know what that first win feels like, and you're on cloud nine, and you can't do a damn thing wrong, and the confidence that you get, and just the feeling of knowing that guys that you look up to and respect, you beat, and so it's pretty cool, and so I was happy for you.
Thanks, buddy.
It was. My fat ass was not jumping in the pond with you. I can tell you that much.
I give a bunch of wet hugs when I got out.
Yeah.
I made sure and go around and get everybody I could.
Yeah.
And get them wet.
Hell yeah.
I only stunk a little.
How deep was that pond anyway?
So it's got just enough slime in the bottom, and the depth that night was just so that you can't touch.
Oh shit.
What you could touch was this real soft stuff that you couldn't walk in or stand in. So it was a pretty good swim back, and the adrenaline. I think I jumped 3/4 the way across it. I probably been better to go on to the other side and I turn around and come back. So 2024. You told me a little bit while ago, kind of gonna try out a different car.
Yeah, we're looking at trying a new car, and of course the paint scheme on us, the wrap's going to be Air Force theme, and
Are the Bomber girls coming back?
I don't know.
Something about them pinup girls on a race car I sure like.
I do too. I do too. The first year that we went with the black scheme with where we had the Bomber gal on there, we went through 4 motors that year, and so Chrissy was like, "It's got to be that stupid girl on there. It's got to be that stupid girl." So then we thought about last year not putting her back on, and then I went to pick up the car. It was a different gal. Maybe she'll give us better luck, and we had a better season, motor wise and all that good stuff. So, but I'm looking forward to it. I've been running the Saginaw transmission all these years. So we got us a nice race gator.
Oh, nice. You'll like that.
Yeah. So just if I convince my dumb ass to, if I go to spin out or whatever, don't push the clutch in to
there ain't one.
no, and you'll destroy everything inside that transmission if you do. Because I did that the first time I ran a bird, and I'm like, down at Adrian, went to spin out, so I hit the brake and the clutch, and then I ripped everything out inside whenever you pushing the clutch and you're engaged, and it's like, that was an expensive F-up.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Well, back to Saginaw, I guess.
Yeah. Luckily, Danny Scroggin, his dad, Elbert, he works on him, so I took him down to him, and he called me. He's like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "Pushed in the clutch while it was engaged." Okay, because you need everything. Okay.
He probably knew what you'd done when he took the cover off of it.
He's wanting to see if I'd admit that I was a dumbass.
Well, right? That old man knows better. He's about seen them all at his age.
Yeah.
Good guy, Bert. Great guy. I've been
him.
trying to get him on here for an interview. I'm gonna keep working on them guys.
I like him. He's a good guy.
A lot of racing. Bert and Danny's done a lot of racing for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Been a lot of places doing it. So you got anybody you want to thank?
I need to, of course, thank my wife. She puts up with this crap, because I go out and work my tail off and try to make as much extra money as I can to afford this, but not all of it's covered by sponsors and this and that, so I got to thank her, mom and dad for cheering us on, me and my brother on for all these years. And then we just signed on Neon Dreams Party Bus. We signed them on again, so I'm working on new sponsors. Last year we had Hometown Flooring in Harrisonville. They've been with us for 3 years, and so I think they're going to come back. We had a couple of new ones this year with NSK Customs out of Independence. I'm going to see if I can get them back on. And then BC Motorsports. He's out of the Butler area. And a pretty neat deal that he's got going there. And I'm going to try and get him back on. And then the American Legion, they help out a little bit. But, my wife, she's my crew chief. Changes my tires. She sets the tire pressure while I'm getting ready and everything else. And that's what's pretty cool, is that she's part of it and active with it. And she's frustrated with it whenever we screw something up or tear something up, and we got to spend a good chunk of money. But we always find a way.
They can feel it. I can't imagine being them girls riding on our emotions up and down with racing. My God.
Oh God, I felt bad one night. The year before, the third motor we blew up. Come in, she's like, "What's wrong?" And I just exploded. I blew the MFing motor again. I'm screaming at her, not screaming at her, but she was there, and
Right.
I'm taking out my emotion towards her.
Right.
And of course she walked right away, and then of course I feel like an idiot, and I have to go up and be like, "I'm not yelling at you," and I'm just frustrated, and she knows, because I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
And I'm a very emotional guy, and when things are good, they're good, but man, when they're bad, they're bad.
That's what, I've experienced highs and lows in my life, but that's one thing, after winning, there's no high. And I've been some different kinds of high. There ain't no high like coming across there first.
Yeah.
And pulling up on that pad in front of the billboards, into Victory Lane. There was nothing like it.
Yeah.
And then, in the ensuing weeks, I experienced there's nothing like the low after winning. When you go out there to do it again and you can't.
Yeah. It can be frustrating, but now that you can win.
Yeah.
That you're capable of it.
Right.
And there's and God love them, we need people like this. And there's guys that run with us or in all classes. They'll never win a feature. They may get lucky and win a heat race, but they're there every week. They're smiling. They're having a good time.
And I'll guarantee you it ain't for lack of effort.
Oh no. Jeremy Allen's one of them. That 7 car that runs with us, that black one, and super nice guy, and he tries and tries and tries, and he's got this much budget. Once that budget's gone, it's gone, and so he'll have to run on old tires or something like that. To where we're lucky enough to where we can swap out a right rear every 2 races or so. And I look over, I'm like, "There's no tread left on your right rear." I know.
Hopefully she gets dry slick.
Yeah. I'm like, my God, but we need guys like that, or the sport's gonna die. And I've been that guy to where, I've worked hard and worked hard and worked hard and never thought it was gonna come, but here we are. I've got 32 8-feature wins to my name.
That's a lot of wins.
Yeah, and it's fun, but whenever you get brought back down and then you try to climb your way back up, then it's real humbling. But that's what gets me driving.
I just want to point out that Steve's phone's going off, not mine.
It's account services. Would you like to talk to them?
I don't know.
They're probably wanting to know where my water bill payment is. I got race car parts to buy. We don't need no goddamn water. That's another thing. Back in the day, I won't tell you how many times I wrote a hot check at Adrian at the front gate, and then hoped that I won enough money that night to cover it. And every time we did, We always did, and then so we would write that hot check at the pit gate, and then with enough money, Monday morning we'd be depositing what we won in there, and actually have money left over to buy some groceries.
To buy some groceries or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. So.
Oh boy. Well, anything I've left out, or anything you want to say? Anything you
No.
want people to know about you?
Well, if you follow Shanna and Razor's Edge Productions, and she's done a couple of videos for us, last year, and came out really cool. Get a hold of her and get you some videos set up. They're pretty neat, and it's something neat to show your sponsors and family and friends, and just a nice little pump up video. So she does a good job with that. And it hopefully she'll keep going. And like I was telling you earlier, I was out working on the car the other day, and when I was talking to Aaron Poe, and I was working on the car, so I had the phone just on and just listening to it, and I don't have to watch it. It's just listening to it. It was pretty neat, to listen to their stories, and that's what. And I'm a history buff anyway. I love talking or learning about history, and whether it's with the military or just how a person's lived through the years, what they've gone
Right.
through, and what they've done.
That's what I find intriguing is these guys' stories, where they've been, where they come from.
Yeah.
And people that helped them. And something I noticed is that we're hearing a lot of the same names, places.
Yeah.
That and guys I didn't know. I was in racing for 3 or 4 years at Adrian Tekken, and then in 20 when I started racing. So I don't know a lot of these guys, but to hear somebody's name with 3 or 4 or 5 different guys that they helped, that I couldn't have raced this night if so and so wouldn't have. Well,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff I love. So I love getting to do this, getting to hear these stories.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have some beers, and I'll tell you some stories about when I was over in Korea, but we can't talk about them on this.
On the Facebook.
Nope. We'll just say this. I worried for a little while there'd be some fat little squinty-eyed kid come up and go, "Are you my daddy?" But luckily it never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was over 25 years ago, so if I did have one, it'd be 20, 22 years. So we're good. Oh, I'm being told not to.
We gotta wrap it up. Thank you guys. Again, Razor Edge Productions. Go like and follow the page. Invite everybody. Steve Tiedeman, S21 Midwest Mod. Be racing at Butler this year. Come and see him. Veteran. Great guy. Come cheer him on. Come meet him. Come say hi. Come to the pits and have a beer. We'll talk about Korea.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys.